All right, guys, we've got Week 5 NFL recap here. It's been a little bit since we've had a video out, but I've been ill, and we're just kind of getting back into the swings of things, and hopefully everything is just, we're back to normal, hopefully getting our videos out and our recaps and our previews and all that funky stuff here. But we've got our NFL recap. Now, these started off like an hour and 3/4, it felt like. They're probably going to start shrinking in size because these teams are starting to just consistently be the teams we think they're going to be. And there's not much we need to say about a lot of them. That's just how it's going to be going forward. Unless there are major changes, unless things change and, a variety of different other things. So, so why don't we go ahead and start? Do what we normally do. We'll start with the Thursday night game, 49ers Rams. 49ers win this one 26-23 in overtime. This was a fun one. A reminder at how good Kyle Shanahan is at scheming, in case people tend, forget, and they go a couple games and it's like, they're not really moving the ball as well. And then, today we're going to comfortably move the ball down the field with backup quarterback, wide receivers off the street type stuff. So obviously very, very good. Kyle Shanahan there, and a really nice win, really big win for the 49ers, who are trying to get through this stretch of injury and stuff like that and try and work their way through a pretty big stretch in their season and try and keep their division hopes alive. And now they're, comfortable favorites, get to the playoffs and stuff like that. And that's a big win, and a big win for them. For the Rams, they came out really sloppy here. Some fumbles early. Corum had a fumble on a pitch. They had to kind of fight and claw their way back into the game. They had plenty of chances to win this one, it felt like, overtime. They get the 4th and 1 there. Really bad play call, and McVay talked about the play call after the fact. You're carving them up, throwing the football up and down the field, and we're running straight up the middle on 4th and 1, and have 2 wide receivers out there marking linebackers. So really bad in that position. They had the fumble on the goal line, Kyron Williams, that probably would have won it on the next play. That's one of those plays, like a minute to go, no timeouts for San Francisco, and you're going to bleed it down to 20-ish seconds and score the game-winning touchdown there, and you fumble it. Hands come off the football, or one hand comes off the football. So that can't happen, and they shot themselves in the foot quite a bit here, the Rams. So, I think they're the better team still, and I thought a lot had to go the Niners' way here. The scripting had to be really, really good, which it was. They had to get a couple of those fumbles in there, which they did. Had to get some bad play calling on 4th down against, which they did. And again, not to take away from the 49ers here or anything like that, because again, this was a pretty impressive win. You have to get some, when you're the underdog, when you're a comfortable underdog, when you're missing a lot of your offense, when things aren't going particularly well, you need things to happen to go your way to win football games. And they took advantage, and you can only really just, pat them on the back and go on. But as I said, as for the Rams, not a good showing. A lot of silly mistakes, just seemed mostly not ready for this one. And that's a shame. It was a pretty big game for them if they wanted to win the division. Let's jump into the next one. This is the Monday game overseas. Vikings 21, Browns 17. Dylan Gabriel's debut today. I thought he played okay. Nothing super spectacular, and I wasn't expecting anything super spectacular out of the 3rd-round pick. But kept the ball moving, played okay. They scored 17 on a tough defense, and a tough defense in particular against rookies. And they'll feel pretty good about that. As for the defense for the Browns, played well. Played mostly well. Again, they gave up 21-7 on like a trick play there. Cam Akers throwing, you want to be, fit on that, and special teams and stuff. But again, the defense played, again, really well. And they, as long as they're in games, they continue to play really well. And you would think that while they're semi-competitive game to game, the defense is going to continue to play well. The only time the defense hasn't played well was when they were just on the field too much against the Ravens and the offense was doing nothing, and it kind of just spiraled a little bit. But other than that, every game they've been mostly really, really good. The Lions game, another one there that spiraled again. It's going to spiral when the offense is doing nothing and the defense is on the field a lot. It's just natural that those things are going to spiral. But like today, if they're in it, they're in it. They give up a late drive here that loses them the football game in the end. But, there are positives for the Browns. It's weird to say because they keep losing, but they are very competitive. The defense looks good. Judkins looks good. Dalen Gabriel was okay today. Again, my thought process with the Browns is that they're just going to try everybody and they're going to end up drafting one anyway. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's just kind of how things are going to go for the Browns. But there are some positives. Again, the defense, Judkins plays well. Dalen Gabriel was okay. And for the Vikings, they stick around again. And while they kind of figure things out now, they get another win over a team they theoretically should beat. This was a good spot for the Vikings. Couldn't quite get there, but a really good spot for them, and they get where they could get there. They get over the line. They weren't like dominant or anything, but they get over the line here, and they have Wentz at quarterback, which we'll see. And Wentz is doing what he has to do, but he's not going to be the guy that steps up and wins you football games. So the rest of the team has to continue to play well, and it's talented and continues to do so. But somewhere along the line, we're going to start playing some better teams, and McCarthy's going to come back, and whether he gets his job back or not, or what happens if he doesn't get his job back and Wentz starts to play poorly, and then we're flipping and flopping, and it's a bit of an interesting road coming forward for the Vikings, so we'll see what exactly happens. But another win under their belt and another week for them to kind of get there. All right, we're back. Sorry about that weird cut. My phone ran out of storage, but we were just saying the Vikings get another win while they kind of ramp up into what they want to be for the season. Next, we jump into Colts Raiders. Colts win this one 40-6. Colts continue offensively to kind of kill. Now, this is a good spot for the offense. This Raiders defense is not good. Very bad beyond the front beyond the front four, or front two. This was a good spot for them to keep rolling, and they keep rolling, man. It just looks like this offense is going to be what it is going forward. And if that's going to be the case, they're going to contend. And so far, they're playing really, really well. The offense is clicking. The run game is really good. Daniel Jones is playing smart football. The wide receivers are getting open. The scheme is working. So all that looks good. I'll be a little bit worried about the defense for a little bit until, they continue to play some better opponents and things like that. But it's been playing well enough right now, and the offense, even if the defense was playing poorly, can keep up and put them in games as they did with the Rams game there before. So the offense continues to look good. Colts, you want to say, is most surprising team in the league so far this season to the positive, just in terms of expectation versus reality. They are overperforming offensively by a significant margin. And the defense is, playing okay. As for the Raiders, this is just a bad football team. And the defense isn't good. We talked about the defense preseason. It wasn't going to be very good. And then we talked about the offense, and what we said with the offense was the offensive line's not really that good, which could mitigate Genty a little bit, who's starting to play. Again, Genty is one of those ones where you watch and he's going to be a player. And numerically and down to down, it's tough because he gets hit behind the line of scrimmage every single time he touches the football. So that's going to be tough. There's really nothing at wide receiver. Jacoby Myers is solid, and then nothing. You got two good tight ends, though Bowers has been nursing injuries for a couple weeks now. And Geno has fully regressed into what we've personally expected him to be for a while now. It's finally starting to get there. It's 9 interceptions so far this season. Another couple today that were really bad. Some missed throws, and it's just kind of where it is right now with Geno, and you're hoping Geno kind of steps up. But this is, I don't want to say this reminds me of the North Carolina situation with Bill, but it kind of does, in that we are kind of, it's a very weird bridge. You get a really old coach who hasn't coached in a bit. and then, you bring him in with a quarterback who's overperforming, older, you're overpaying left and right. It's just a weird marriage of a lot of things that have happened here, and it's going how we thought it would go. I imagine not how the Raiders thought it would go, but it's just kind of where it is, and it's tough, and it's going to be, in terms of the Raiders winning games, I still think there's like potential here on this offense for it to be like kind of decent. But again, if Geno keeps turning the football over, it doesn't matter. They're going to play some defenses that don't have any good defensive lines and put up points. They did well enough against Chicago, like spots like that. But when you're coming up against a Colts team that's going to continue to score points and you turn the ball over, these are the scores you're going to end up with, particularly with the defense. So the Raiders have a lot to work on. It's interesting how their season's going to go forward, one to watch just in terms of a variety of different things. But yeah, not fantastic here. And again, stuff to work on. Colts, keep doing what you're doing. Giants, Saints win this one 26-14. This was a really weird one. Giants go up 14-3 early here. Saints were moving the ball okay early, but not really capitalizing on anything. And the Giants were doing well. First couple of drives are really good. Dart played well for the most part early. And then the Giants turned the ball over on 5 straight possessions. I think it was fumble, 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 pick, pick. And I'll give Dart a little bit of grace because the first pick was just like, one of those fourth downs, changed out of the pocket, just throw it up there and see what happens kind of thing. And that gets picked. And the second one was a wide receiver who inexplicably stopped his route. But he's playing okay. Throwing the football is where he'll need to improve, obviously, but the ground stuff is really good and the mobility is really good. He gets out of sacks well, and he's got good feel for the pocket early. So I'm not worried about that necessarily with the Giants, but they're going to lose. I think Slayton's out this week. They're going to play the Eagles tomorrow without anything at wide receiver except Wan'Dale Robinson. So we'll see there. And then the Saints, again, we've talked about the Saints a little bit. Offensively, they're playing okay. Kamara's running all right, but Kendre Miller's getting more snaps and he's running pretty well. Looks like Kamara's picked up something, so it may just be Kendre Miller next time, but he's been running the football well. They're good at wide receiver. There's talent. Rashid Shaheed has the speed. He got away from the Giants there late for like a 75-yard TD somewhere. Quick. Offensive line's playing decently. They have all their tight ends back. There's Juwan Johnson, Moreau, Taysom Hill came back, took some of his quarterback snaps and his end arounds and weird things like that. Get little nicks back into the offense. And Rattler's playing well. Rattler may just be the guy who picks it up his second year and, turns it into something. He's certainly earned himself at least a roster spot somewhere in the league at minimum. Whether teams view him as someone who could, be the guy going forward. He's all of a sudden in conversations about, extending this starter streak past just the year. So good for him. He's done very, very well there. And again, the mobility is pretty decent. He's starting to play. He's throwing the football well, not making huge mistakes, connecting with his receivers. So good on Rattler there. Defensively, they were solid early. Defensively, they were a bit of a mess early and kind of stepped it up a little bit later, though a lot of that came down to the Giants fumbling stuff. But that's not negative on the Saints defense or anything. So they played all right here. And then the Giants, again, offensively, got to stop fumbling. Slayton with a fumble. Dart like unforced error fumble where he kind of just hit off his leg when he went to step. The Slayton fumble was bad. Scatterbo fumble was bad. So can't be doing that. The 5 turnovers and 5 possessions is not going to win you football games. And then defensively, I thought they were mostly solid. A couple things that they'll feel to clean up. Again, the secondary is a problem. Is going to be a problem all year long. The front 4 are very good in pass rush stuff, man. It's just what it's going to be. Burns is playing really well. Carter is a pressure machine right now. Thibodeau is playing really, really well with a contract year on the line. So there are some good things for some of these bad teams, and there are some bad things, and that's just what it's going to be like. But yeah, they both have something to look forward to, I think, on the teams right now. Lions, Bengals. Lions win this one 37-24. Yeah, this was over quickly. The Lions did exactly what you would expect them to do against a really bad defense, and they put up 37. And the Lions offense, that first game was the anomaly as the Green Bay pass rush really ate up the front. But since, it's just points. And like you expect, like they played the Ravens really, really banged up, and they played a bad Bengals team, but you got to show that you can score points in those situations, and they've overdone it. They're going past their market, all that other fun stuff. They've done really well. So they'll feel good, and hopefully they can keep it up. Defensively, they're starting to get a little bit more pressure. Hutchinson's having a really good year now. Took him a second or two to get going, but ever since that first game, he's been really, really good. Guys should come back at some stage, but again, solid. Turned the Browning over quite a bit, and we'll talk about Browning in a minute. Let off the gas mostly late, but it wasn't really a game for a while. So Lions will feel good. You come on the road in in a non-conference game, you do what you're supposed to do and you get out. That's what you like. Bengals, the defense we've talked about, this is horrible. There's nothing in the back end. The front is a little bit better with Shamar Stewart this year, but still not very good. And it's just what's going to happen to this defense all along. Offensively, it took a while. Browning started really, really bad. That half of football, the first half, was one of the worst first halves of quarterback play just ever, really. Like, ever since we've started making numbers, EPAs, stuff like that. Really, really horrible. Look better in the second half, but not enough to save his job as the Bengals go out and trade a 6th-round pick for Joe Flacco, which, yeah, I hate that so much. I mean, it's got to be more of an entertainment thing, surely. Like, the 41-year-old Joe Flacco behind this offensive line. Yeah, so we'll see. Trading actual draft capital for that is crazy to me, but Browning wasn't playing particularly well, and I guess maybe there's interior pressure on the coach and stuff like that, but just from an organizational standpoint, I don't understand that. But they are going to try a new quarterback next week, and that should help Chase and Higgins. He can at least hit some of those deeper balls. Whether that means this team will be better, I would personally doubt it, but if he can make it a little bit better, if he can make the offense slightly decent, we'll see. There'll be probably a lot of checkdowns and stuff like that, and the Chase Brown fantasy people should be kind of happy if you have him in PPR, but again, I'm not expecting Joe Flacco to come in here and make this team competitive. This team feels like it's going to be drafting in the top 5. The defense is just a sieve. They go to Green Bay next week. Flacco's first start, that feels like a very similar game to this one. So Bengals have issues, and they're going to have issues for the season. Lions, they keep on rolling, and they got a big old game with Kansas City next week, so that should be fun with Kansas City's offense starting to get back on track. Next we have Cowboys, Jets. Cowboys win this one 37-22. Yeah, this was over quickly, and the score is even really healthily flattering the Jets. This was 30-3 in the third quarter at some stage. This Cowboys offense continues to roll, and when they have advantages on the offensive line, which they shouldn't have today, by the way, that's my biggest worry about what's happening with the Jets is they don't feel like they're playing like hard, which is kind of a worry. So we'll see, but it's an offensive line that was missing 4 of its 5 starters, and they bullied the Jets defense a little bit here, or a lot of it. As I said, 30-3. Dak continues to play really, really well. Continues to be an excellent player. It's one of those ones where, like, if the MVP award was like genuinely about like the most valuable player in the league, Dak would be in that situation. They're not going to win enough games or anything to get him there, but the offense playing really, really well. And the defense got pushed today against a bad offense. And, that's the kind of things that's going to happen. But again, the Cowboys end up giving, 22 up, even in a game where they were kind of dominant in. So, again, the worry there, the worry with this team is the defense. And again, it's garbage time and stuff like that. I'm not worried about it here particularly, but going forward, the offense looks good, and the defense is going to have to keep up for them to win football games. George Pickens looked really good today, played really well, caught that really long touchdown. Javonte Williams continues to run the football really, really well. His resurgence was one not many people were expecting, but he's running the football really, really well and continues to do so. And that's a pretty big jump there for the Cowboys in terms of just offensive expectation coming into the season. The Jets, on the other hand, we talked about the defense, 30 points through 3 is not good, or halfway through 3, not good. And the defense has pieces, but as a whole, not playing particularly well at the moment. Offensively, it's going to be an issue. We've seen the offense all year. It's been an issue. Justin Fields is not really a quarterback, man. And I don't know how much longer these experiments are going to go on with Justin Fields, but he's not playing well. And all the Jet stuff this year so far, for the most part, has come in garbage time of these games. All the stuff they got today was garbage time, and this is a bad defense they're going against. This Cowboys defense is bad, and they put up 3 points through 2 3/4 quarters. It's a huge worry whether they move off Justin Fields and start Tyrod at some stage. I don't know, because Tyrod didn't play particularly well either. But this feels like a team that'll be picking in the top 5 again. They're the only team in the league without a win. It's going poorly there, and I don't particularly expect it to get much better going forward, so we'll see. Broncos 21, Eagles 17. Interesting one here. Eagles 17-3 up in this one going into the 4th, or late at least. And Broncos come all the way back. And we've talked about this Eagles team where things just don't feel right offensively. Again, don't feel right here. I think Saquon's hurt. He didn't get a ton of touches in this one. I think he only got 6 or 8 carries, but I think that's because of an injury, and he showed up limited on the practice report on Tuesday at least. So I think that's part of the case, but not a ton of touches for Saquon here, not a ton of touches in the run game. Again, the offense only puts up 17 here, which isn't good. And the offensive coordinator, the play calling, it's an issue. It's a genuine issue. There's grumblings out of the wide receivers, just a lot of stuff that doesn't look particularly good on this Eagles offense right now. And I don't think a lot of it is personnel. That's my worry about it, just in general, or why I think it could work its way back to being really, really good, is because I don't think it's personnel. I don't think Hurts is playing really poorly. I don't think the offensive line is playing poorly. I don't think the wide receivers are not getting off. Something else is just wrong here, and I think it's play calling. I think it's just, vibes, which is a weird thing to say, but it doesn't seem like they're getting along very well. And this has happened here before in this particular building with Hurts and the coach and stuff like that. So that's not new in Philadelphia. And you got a coach in Sirianni, who's, very proud, or, whatever word you want to use there. And things may get a little funky. So we'll see what this situation looks like, but weird loss here. Some of this is on Sirianni. That punt before giving it back to the Broncos there, and barely getting the ball back, was inexplicable. The defense, I thought, played well for the most part. Fourth quarter it didn't, but every other time, or for the first 3, it played really well. So we'll see where the Eagles go. I'm worried. Someone described this team as of last year's Chiefs. That's what they feel like. And with the Chiefs last year, when you watched them play, they won, how many games? 14. And they never felt like they were good. You know what I mean? Like, they never felt great. And they're kind of eking out wins, and they continue to win football games, and you're watching and you're looking at the numbers like, none of this really makes sense. And they get, their talent gets them over the line. Mahomes and Reed gets them over the line. And that's what it felt like for the Eagles, particularly in the first couple of weeks when they were kind of just getting over the line. They lose the game here, but it just doesn't feel particularly great there. And I thought that was a good comp for this year's Eagles. So we'll see what this is like going forward. They have a short turnaround this week as they travel to the Giants. 7.5-point favorites. It should be a win, but we'll see. Anything can happen. Broncos, on the other hand, defense played pretty well, kept them in the game all game long. Offense took a while to get going. And then once it got going, the Eagles couldn't figure out how to deal with it. Sean Payton was finally in his bag a little bit. Bo Nix had a good fourth quarter. And I know the Broncos fans don't like me. And I don't think this Broncos team is that great. But offensively and particularly, I think the defense is continuing to play well. And going forward from there, they would expect to play well. They're talented. Nick Benito continues to play really, really well. The only thing that keeps him from like a DPOI is name recognition, I guess, because he continues to play well. It's been 2 years worth of really good from him. But the offense has its struggles, has its issues. And, a fourth quarter comebacks don't change those things. And again, they're going to need to run the ball better. Nix is going to have to be a little bit more on target. 14 incompletions today out of 34 attempts is not ideal. Some misses in there, some turnover worthies. So, they get the win. And I don't want to talk down a win on the road against a really good opponent. Out of conference, those are throwaway games for a lot of teams. But I'm worried about the offense as a whole. Defense playing really well. So we'll see going forward what they look like as well. Dolphins 24, Carolina 27. Carolina come all the way back from 17-0 down. Dolphins just, got found out a little bit in the run game and could not move the ball in the second half. And that was it. This defense is not good enough. The Dolphins defense is not good enough to let the offense just kind of go. If the offense is going to score 24 points, they're going to lose a majority of their football games because this defense, this secondary in particular, is very much not good. The defensive line was supposed to be the saving grace here, at least making this defense okay. Not really playing particularly well. Dowdle for Carolina runs for 200. He has 200 total yards, 230 total yards maybe. I think he ran for 200 and has 230 total with a couple catches in there, but he ate this defensive line up. Bryce Young did what he had to do. Tet continues to play really, really well. The most annoying thing about Tet is that I bet him for 5+ touchdowns for the year because I thought he'd have a good year. And I really liked him, and he's done everything but score touchdowns, which is bothering me. But again, Tet playing really, really well. And this offense can score on pretty bad defenses for the most part. It's not terrible floating around, but it needs good matchups to score points, and they get a good matchup here and they take advantage. And they'll need to. Dolphins, again, the offense clicks for long portions, it feels like. And then when they can't really run the ball wide, it all falls apart, and it all fell apart a little bit today. After losing Tyreek Hill and continuing to lose games, vibes there, continue to not be so good. So we'll see what that looks like. They look like they're getting ready for a full reset here. I think Tyreek will be cut. Over the off season, I imagine the coach will be fired, though. I think he's a really good play caller, and I'd really like to see him calling plays at one of my teams, maybe the Giants. That'd be great if we got a new coach, or a new offensive coach or whatever. I really like him. I think he's a good play caller. The problem with this team in particular is that it has to run the ball efficiently all the time, and this offensive line sucks. So that's just kind of where we are here. So two teams in the doldrums a little bit. Carolina may feel that they make a push at 2-3 now. I don't personally believe it, but they may feel that way. But two teams who in 3 weeks we're probably just going to be talking about them running their seasons out. So, is what it is on that one. Texans, Ravens. Texans win this one 44-10. Let's talk about the Ravens first. This team is severely injured. They were missing like 9 starters, 7 on the defense, all Pro Bowlers. Like just an insane amount of injury here. I'm not throwing the Ravens out. I think they lose next week to the Rams. I don't know if Lamar plays or not. I think they lose considering the injuries they've got. But if they come out of the bye and they're healthy-ish at 1-5, the back end of their schedule is really, really easy. So I'm not throwing this team away. That being said, the vibes are not good here. But there are no teams who survive this injury stuff. You lose a top 3 quarterback. You lose the best safety in the league. You lose a really good tackle in Stanley. You lose a really good linebacker in Roquan Smith, where you have nothing behind Roquan Smith. That's might as well be a cluster injury on its own. You're missing Marlon Humphrey, who's not been playing well, but you're missing Marlon Humphrey. Awuzie's not playing. You're missing 2 corners. Kyle Van Noy is hurt. Madubuike is going to miss the season. Like, the defense is a shell of, like, this is barely an NFL defense they're putting out here now because so much talent and money is on the bench sitting out while they're hurt. So I'm not expecting the Ravens to come into these games and play well or anything like that. But for their own sake, they need to keep the vibes up a little bit. They need to come out of the bye healthy and thinking they can do it, because the schedule is comfy enough and you just got to make the playoffs. Like, if you sneak into the playoffs, anything can happen with this talent, but you got to keep the mindset there. We'll see what happens going forward. But again, it's injury galore, and it's tough to evaluate the Ravens at all if that's the case. They're not in their bye this week. They play the Rams and then they go into their bye, but they just kind of need to get through these 2 weeks without fully falling apart. They traded Oweh today for a safety in the pick. Oweh's fine, but nothing crazy. I don't think they're selling off. I saw that was like the thing going around. I don't think that's the case. Oweh's just due for a contract and not like great enough probably for them to go ahead and waste contract on, so you can probably get a player and a pick back, and that's fine business, but we'll see from there. As for the Texans, this was very much a show you're a live game. Like, show you're going to be a football team this year. Show that you could actually do it, even if these are the circumstances you need to do it under. And they did, man. 44-10. They put their foot on the gas. The offense probably felt good, scoring touchdowns for the first time all year, it felt like. And the offensive line held up against a really bad defensive line right now. But when the offensive line holds up, you see it. Excuse me. You see it with Stroud. Like, you see what you're waiting for all the time when the offensive line holds up. And obviously you don't want him to only show up when the offensive line holds up, but at least it shows up when the offensive line holds up, which is good. And the defense continues to be really, really incredible. So, and again, difficult circumstances in terms of grading for the Texans here, but the defense continues to be good. It's been good all year, and at least the offense showed up in a position where it needed to show up and prove that it's like somewhat decent somewhere or something to build on, and they have it here just in case. So, again, a much needed performance out of Houston, and the Ravens, just got to get healthy and stay afloat. I know it's weird to be like, hey, they're not out of it at 1-5, but the schedule feels like 10-7 at fully healthy, so that's very much able to get in the playoffs in this current AFC. It's possibly able to win the division in this AFC. So we'll see where we go from there, where both these teams go from there, but much needed performance from the Texans going into next week. Commanders 27, Chargers 10. If you saw the first couple of drives here, you wouldn't have expected it. Chargers go 10-0 up and get the ball back and then fumble the ball away, driving to make it 17-0, which may have not necessarily killed the game off, but would have made it really difficult. But the fumble, Commanders go right down the field. The Chargers don't score again. Now, we've talked a couple of times now about this Chargers offense. I don't think it's been playing well. Last 2 weeks have showed it's very much not playing well. The offensive line is a bit of a mess. Lots of injuries. I believe Bozeman was benched today or yesterday, one of those two. But benched, which is, another offensive lineman out the door. Whether another guy comes in and plays better or not is a different story. But, that's just kind of where we are with their offensive line. Wide receivers are good. The running back situation's a problem. It's about Hampton's gone on IR. There's nobody blocking for the running back, so the run game as a whole is a bit of a mess. So this offense is a worry for me. This team is a bit of a worry for me because I don't think the defense is that great. I think the defense is solid and comfortable against teams that are not very good. But outside of that realm, I think it's an issue. I'm worried about the Chargers. Last time we spoke was before the Giants game, I believe. Before the Giants game. And I said, I don't think this Chargers team is very good, despite its 3-0 start. And now all of a sudden we're kind of in free fall mode in a division where the Broncos have a game or two lead, or a game lead, or they're right behind. And then they got a 5-game schedule that's really comfortable, and a Chiefs team that's offense is starting to click. Should get Rashee Rice back. So it's not going to get easier for the Chargers going forward. They do have that 3-0 division lead, so if they can get back to it, that's a huge tie break there. But they have issues going forward, and we'll see what those look like on the other side. Commanders here, this is a nice win. This is a team that was slowly it felt slowly fading almost, where not a ton of attention over there, and the quarterbacks missed a couple weeks and things don't feel particularly great in the secondary, and they go across the country and beat a semi-decent Charger team on the road after going 10-0 down and dominating the rest of the football game. So that was a really nice much needed win there. Jaden Daniels comes back from injury and looks good here. Took him a quarter or so to kind of get into it, but this is the Jaden we saw last year, and he had a really good game here. The run game looks much better with Bill. He continues to run really, really well. Wide receivers are playing pretty well. The defense played well here. This defense has shown that against bad offensive lines, it can have good games. It's did that against the Giants. It's done that against the Chargers now. If they're going to get pressure, then the secondary isn't as much of an issue. It's those games where they're going to play good offensive lines and teams that can throw the football where they're going to really struggle on the back end. But in situations like this, where they go ahead and get pressure, get to the quarterback, stop the run, they're going to contend and they're going to have good games as long as the offense is okay. And that's what it did here. So, hey, excuse me. Sorry, the freaking cat's over there, messing about. But yeah, just a overall really good game from the Commanders and a Chargers team that's got to find some solutions to what's happening there. Next, Titans 22, Cardinals 21. What on earth? This is comfortably the craziest loss I've seen in terms of just how it happened, and how that gets blown. Cardinals comfortable all game long, and then with 10 minutes to go in the fourth, DeMarcado up 21-3. DeMarcado runs all the way down the field and drops the football right before he crosses the goal line on a 75-yard run. And instead of 28-3, it's 21-3 in Titan ball. And then it's 21-6. Then it's 21-12. And then Cam Ward throws what should have been a game-sealing interception with 4 minutes to go. The guy who catches it falls down, fumbles the football, and it ends up as a Titans touchdown. and then they kick the game-winning field goal after forcing a punt, which is just crazy. Genuinely, I was watching it and still couldn't believe it as I was watching it. Crazy loss for the Cardinals. We'll talk about the Titans first. Their first win of the year. And again, they didn't play well today. Had a good fourth quarter and had a lot of lucky things go their way. But didn't play well again today. Quarterback's not playing particularly well. Wide receivers suck. Run game sucks. The coach sucks. The play calling sucks. Like, there's just a lot of bad here on this Titans team. And then in terms of the defense, it's okay. There are pieces. Jeffrey Simmons continues to play kind of well, but there's really not a lot there. And this is a team that's going to be picking in the top 5 pretty comfortably here. Before the season, we saw a couple, things that said, hey, maybe this team could be kind of decent, but those things haven't turned out. And this is just where we are, growing pains with a rookie quarterback who's got no real help around him and also does his own things that are bad habits. And, you get this kind of offensive performance. But they get a win on the board. And despite how unlikely it was, and despite how crazy it ended up being, they'll take a win. And they'll see if they can build on that. May have saved Callahan's job for another week or two. But in the end, it just in terms of going forward, it's not a, it's a win. And, that's about it. I'm not expecting too much more of this Titans team going forward. As for the Cardinals, whoosh, holy cow, really horrible loss. This is a team that's kind of been flirting with throwing away a game over the last couple of weeks, it feels like. And they finally do it in the most ridiculous way. There's something about Gannon, like the coach. Obviously, he got fined for that altercation with DeMarcado where he was hitting him and stuff. You can't be hitting players and things. You could be over there screaming at him, and that would have made sense, and I would get it personally, because personally, I'd be cutting dudes that do that stupid stuff. But as for him as a coach, he has a habit of turtling up in these situations. That's why teams have been kind of threatening to do this a little bit. Carolina game, this Titans game, they get really, really conservative on offense, and defensively, it becomes really prevent-y stuff and situations it shouldn't be, which is interesting for a defensive coach. But, well, not interesting for a defensive coach. It makes sense for in terms of the cautious approach, but defensively, they just genuinely back off defensively late in games, and I'm not so sure why that's the case, but it is very much what's happening. And it's happened a couple times. It's cost them today, albeit in very weird circumstances, but really not good coaching. The offense was okay. Again, they had 21 and should have had 28 early fourth. So they were doing what they needed to do, but they don't have the bodies to run clock, and that's kind of what they were doing at the end of the game. That cost them the game, so it is what it is. Defensively, they were mostly fine. Again, you get the game-winning pick, and unfortunate kind of fumble there. Obviously, that's just a freak play. Otherwise, they just hold them to 12, and it's 3 at the beginning of the fourth, and playing some prevent stuff late. But in the end, let them drive down the field again to lose the football game. So again, I don't even know if that's a defensive issue. I can't look at the defense and go, man, that's a defensive issue, because I think a lot of it is coaching, what's happening here. But a really, really bad loss for Arizona, whose season may have just kind of went down the drain a little bit there. We'll see if they can bounce back and going forward and stuff. But these were their winnable games at the beginning of the season, and they kind of drop a couple in heartbreaking fashion. This one, the Niners one, it's unfortunate, but it's just kind of where we are with the Cardinals. Game of the week, Bucs 38. Sorry, I have to bend my head down there because I have it written on a board, but I can't. I have to look behind this thing I'm holding up here. Bucs 38, Seahawks 35. Game of the week here. Pre-game, I didn't expect this didn't expect this many points. After the first couple drives I did, though, I had some first half under 23 that did get there, despite the fact that they were both moving the football in each other. And then it finally exploded in the second half. I think this was a little bit of, in terms of Tampa, they're getting all their stuff back. The offensive line's getting healthier. Wide receiver core is getting healthier. Godwin comes back here. Igbuka continues to play really, really well, and Baker played his best game of the season. This is Baker's first game of the year where he's played well. I know they were winning football games and they were having good final drives, but overall they weren't doing particularly well on offense, and Baker himself wasn't playing well. Led the league in, turnover worthy plays after a couple 3 weeks there. Like, it wasn't playing well, and that's okay because it's early in the season and they were winning football games. And then he puts together a gem like he did today, which he's very much capable of. And they put up 38 and they win the football game, and they still have some old linemen to come back, and they still have Mike Evans to come back. There's a very bright future here, I think, with this Bucs team in terms of what this season could be. My thought was, we spoke about it last time, if this defense is going to be this good, then they can really contend, genuinely. Though that, the Seahawks offense kind of poured a little bit of water on that fire again today. They put up 35 on their own. They run the ball well. They throw the ball well. The secondaries for the Bucs is a little bit of an issue, and they took advantage of it. Darnold played well again, and the Seahawks offense in general played well here. But this was two defenses I expected to play well here, and both didn't. So, that's just how it goes. But if you're Carolina, if you're Seattle, if you're not getting push on the defensive line, you're going to struggle because, there are a couple bodies missing in there. Like Julian Love didn't play, but also the strength is there. And some of these corners are a little bit, I don't want to say undisciplined, but like they don't carry like a lot of other secondaries. Like they're really good up on you. They can press. That kind of stuff. But the length of time in terms of covering isn't there necessarily. So if the pass rush isn't getting home like it wasn't today, these corners can be beat. And they did. And that's how it is. There aren't too many offensive lines in the league that are going to hold up against the Seattle defense, but there are enough for it to be a worry going forward. And again, I'm not going to go in here and say both these defenses suck. It's just one of those games, man. And it's just one game. So, but there are, a couple red flags here and there, very small. And then again, for the Bucs, it's a defense I think probably overperformed early. And this is the more likelier of the two defenses. That's where this is more the norm. I don't expect them to be giving up 35 every week, but I'd be more inclined to think that the Bucs give up 24 every week than the Seattle Seahawks give up 24 every week. That being said, they have a much better offense, many more weapons, and can outscore those problems a little bit better than Seattle can. And yeah, I think the future's kind of bright here with the Bucs. Seahawks, their future I think could be pretty bright too. It's all going to come down to how Darnold plays in pressure spots. Again, Darnold has done this plenty of times, where he plays well during the season, and when it comes down to the crunch time late in the season and teams keying in on him and blitz him more, and that's kind of where he falls apart. So I wouldn't say I was expecting Darnold to play this well early on in the season and kind of keep hold of it, but I'm not surprised because he's done this plenty of times, and we'll see what the back end looks like. But for now, if he continues to play well, the defense is going to not give up enough points most of the time for them to continue to win football games and make a playoff push. So two good teams here, I thought. Patriots 23, Bills 20. This was a fun one in the second half. This was very, very early, difficult for both offenses. And I thought it was difficult for the Bills. They've turned the ball over 3 times here. Josh Allen with that bad pick in the red zone. Which the turnovers are probably why they lose this football game. But I will say, we've talked about it. We talked about it with the Ravens defense. Is obviously a different matter now with the Ravens defense with the more injuries. But Milano left this game hurt, and looks like he's week to week. We'll see what that is. But when they're missing that, they can be got at, and you can go at this defense. This defense is not very good, and I don't personally think it's that well coached. And I thought the Patriots coaching kind of held them back in the first half as well. They were the first 3 or 4 drives, it felt like run on first down, run on second down. It doesn't matter what's going on, run on first down, run on second down. Like a couple of early down passing, just a little bit of it. And they probably score enough points in the first half where this doesn't become an issue in the second half. But again, I hate the coaching in there also for the most part. The defense was solid today. Again, a couple of turnovers there, fumble, the pick in the red zone. Bad for the Bills. And again, what cost them the game. But, not too many teams hold the Bills to 20 regardless of how many bad turnovers they make on their own. So they did well. And then they finally let Drake May throw the football a little bit in the second half. And everything you want and look at, when you look at Drake May and see the potential, that's what you see. Like, it's been there. Like, it's just on edge all year long. And all of it came to show all at once in the second half, I thought. Made a lot of good plays rolling out. No stupid plays. I thought everything was really good. With Drake May, and we've talked about Drake May. I think he's been very, very good, and he's been very good on things that have been open and in front of him. And I thought today he played really, really well. So we'll see what that looks like going forward. There are also a couple of things I don't like with the Patriots offense in terms of the running back situation. Gibson's going to be out for the year. I think he tore his ACL on that hit. Stevenson continues to fumble. Travion Henderson continues to not get a ton of touches, and then when he does get touches, they're all very similar plays, and he's not running particularly well. So it's a very interesting running situation there, and I think a lot of the reason why Stevenson continues to get a ton of touches is because Travion's not, number one, running well, and two, I think that's a philosophy thing over there with Vrabel and McDaniels. So that's weird, but again, Patriots played really, really well today. I'm not going to overreact to this. This is a team that does have a loss to the Raiders under its belt, despite how early it was in the season. But in terms of game to game, this team does not play a ton of good opponents down the stretch. So they'll feel playoffs. They'll look playoffs. We'll see what that looks like for them going forward. And they're going to make themselves a push in an AFC that's a bit of a mess. As for the Bills, it's probably just a blip. Again, 3 turnovers today is not going to happen a ton, and they still put up 20. They'll feel that on a normal day they put up 30 at least. Again, there are issues, but not issues I'm expecting to be fixed in terms of the defense not being particularly great, but the offense is good. You're getting a couple of flash moments from Keon Coleman once in a while. It's not as consistent as you'd like to be. Shakir is okay. James Cook continues to be really, really great. He's been fantastic all year long, and continues to play really well. So there are a lot of good components on this Bills team. Obviously, I think they should be favorite, at least in the AFC. And just a good game, just a good football game. And then another good football game to end it here. Chiefs 28, Jaguars 31. This was a really fun one, filled with a variety of game-swinging plays. The Jags have a 4th and goal. Trevor reaches over, doesn't quite get the ball there, gets knocked out, fumbled away. The Chiefs were going in for a score, 99-yard pick 6. Devin Lloyd, we've talked about Devin Lloyd all year long. We talked about him in the preseason, how all he needs is some coverage, and that he's a top 5 linebacker. And he's playing like it. He's playing like an all-pro there right now. He had a nice long pick 6 there. Trevor Lawrence's game-winning touchdown where he falls over twice and still manages to get in while Chris Jones just stands around is interesting. So it was a all-around really great game and a good win for the Jags, who are now 4-1. The offense continues to play well, put up points for the most part. 24 again today. They scored enough. The game-winning drive was all the good things you like about Trevor. Trevor's not playing particularly well, but I also don't think Trevor's like this like sentiment going around that Trevor's like this bottom 10 quarterback. I don't know where that's coming from. I think a lot of the Jaguars' woes just in general this season have been just wide receivers ducking, it feels like. And again, he's not a perfect quarterback. I think he's like a middle of the pack guy, but it's a middle of the pack guy leading a offense that's got a good run game, an elite offensive line, and a coach who's, in terms of calling plays, is elite. So this offense should be good going throughout. I will say one thing about Liam Cohen: the offense looks good, and the offense is really good. His game management, his time management, all that stuff was really horrible in this game, and that's just going to need to be worked on. But they'll take it as they get the win. Defensively, the turnovers continue to make the Jaguars defense look good. I'm worried just down to down. It's not very good. And again, the turnovers are huge, and the turnovers are all on the Jags and all that stuff. Turnovers are not necessarily super sustainable. They've got 14 turnovers already, which is a crazy number this early in the season. So I'm not so sure that's sustainable, which may make this defense regress a little bit later on. We'll see. But again, the offense can cover a lot of it, and this is a division they feel they can go win. So a 4-1 start and a good start for the Jags. Chiefs, the pass defense is an issue. We've spoke about this all year long. Everything else is starting to come together, though. They did pretty well in the run game today, defensively, just on run stuff. Not containing Trevor, but that's not necessarily run stuff. That's more pass protection or pass rush discipline and stuff like that. But everything else was fine. But the pass defense is a problem. We saw it against the Chargers, who had their best outing in the pass game against these Chiefs. Jaguars moved the ball comfortably through the air against the Chiefs today. It's an issue. It's an issue for the Chiefs, and we'll see where that ends up. And they're going to play a very, very tough team next week in Detroit. Offensively, it looks like it's starting to click a little bit more, which is good. And Rashee Rice is a game away, I believe. What are they, 2-3? So he's got one more game. It's the Detroit game he'll miss, and then he'll be back. And I think this offense will vault itself into the top 5 pretty comfortably. From there, it's starting to move the ball again. They scored 28 here, even after giving up a 99-yard pick six in which they drove the field again anyway. So this team could have very easily scored 35 here. The run game looked a little bit better today. That's probably more of a Trayvon Walker thing there. But if they're running the ball better, that's huge, because they haven't been running the ball well, and the offense has still been decent. So there are things to look forward to for the Chiefs. Problem is the schedule is kind of tough. They play the Lions in there. They play the Bills in there. They play the Commanders in there. Then it kind of eases up a little bit. They got to play the Broncos in there. So it's not easy. And it's going to be tough after a 2-3 start, possibly 2-4 after next week. But if this team reaches the playoffs, it should be a threat, just like it is every year. So an interesting set of games this week, an interesting slate. And we got another one next week, and we'll be back next week to see what we like, what we don't like, what happened, what didn't happen, all that fun stuff. But there we are, guys, our Week 5 recap.